Let's take a look at what happened to Tesla today. Tesla is up $25.76. That's 15.31%, closed at 194.05. Post market, we seem to be up by 25 cents more. So let's look at what this means on the chart. Last week, we had identified that Tesla was into a downward trend, a bearish channel, downward trend. Last Thursday, we had a break of the resistance, the upper line of the bearish channel. And this is an indication, this was the first indication that something was starting to change. Because right here, people were willing to pay lower and lower for Tesla stock based on that line right here. This was the frontier of the tug of war between the buyers and sellers. And that frontier was broken on Thursday. So this was our first indication that something is happening. Yeah. So before buying a stock, we tend to use three criteria. The first criterion is a break of downward resistance. We had that on Friday. So having one criteria is better than having none, but it's not as good as having two, and it's not as good as having three. The second criteria was to have stochastic, which is an indicator. A 21-day stochastic needs to be above 60 in order to validate the move up that we are seeing. So we had that already last Thursday. Then on Friday, we had a little bit of a pullback, which oftentimes happen. So we had 2 out of 3 criteria in order to buy. The third criteria was to wait for a break of 180.38, and that break happened today. So right now, we have an imbalance between the buyers and sellers. I call it a buy impulse. So we have the buy impulse right now. So if you got into Tesla on Friday of last week, you should be very happy. This was a little bit more risky because we were waiting for that third criteria that we got today. But as Tesla sometimes does, it just flies off. When it goes, it just makes a gap and just goes. So this is what happened. So technically, this is a buy right now because we have our 3 criteria that were met. But there's the caveat right now that we have a gap, so we could be coming down a little bit. So if you enter starting from tomorrow, make sure to have a stop loss just below 180.38 in case we start going down again. This is my caveat. If we take a look at our indicator, so stochastic is at 91 right now. MACD, we had the breakover bullish on Thursday. We had the RSI above 50 on Thursday also. And now we have the MI that is also in. Something that's really interesting is that where did we stop today? The high of the day was at 198.87. This was the high of the day. And look at this. Look at how perfectly this is matching the downward channel resistance that has started in July of 2023. So you see how these lines are respected by the stock price. They are respected by the stock price. So this is the channel, and we are still respecting the stock price. So, let me qualify this a little bit. So Tesla is a buy from the sense that we had an impulse move. We had a big imbalance. We see the imbalance right now. The imbalance is really happening. Now, we are close to a resistance. So what technically Tesla stock should be doing is it could be bouncing off of that resistance. So there is some risk right now. You can buy right now with the stop loss be 180.38, but there is some risk that we cave into that downward resistance. Right here, we could be caving in because this is what stocks usually do when they come into a resistance. They come close and they cave in. When they don't cave in and when they break it, then there is a buying opportunity right here. So because Tesla moved so fast, we are already close to this downward resistance. There is some risk because we could cave into that downward resistance. You can also wait a day or two to see if we are going to break it. If we break it, then there is going to be less risk. To each his own. Do your own research, make your own decisions. I cannot tell you what to do. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't understand your financial situation. But if you want to get into Tesla right now, think about the stop loss at 180.38 and maybe not put as much money before we break that downward resistance. And if we break it, then you can put more money into it to catch the ride, because we are going to de-risk a little bit more by breaking this downward resistance. Let's take a look at VIX. VIX is continuing down 2%. We are liking this. When VIX is coming down, the stock market is going up. So this is exactly what is happening right now. The same thing with the bonds. Bonds are down a little bit. This is helping. And US dollars down a little bit. This is helping, at least today. Let's take a look at our stock indices. So stock indices, we still are not into a much of a bullish mode. You know, stochastic is not over 60. No, we need stochastic over 60 in order to really be bullish. We need to break also a horizontal resistance. So we are breaking at 38,332 again, but there is no stochastic. So, you know, I cannot really say that this is real bullish. S&P 500, we are still into a downward channel. It's not really bullish. Stochastic, it's at 52. Once we break 51.21, then we can say with a good stochastic, then we can say that we are bullish again. Nasdaq, this one is sideways. There is a resistance at 1703. You see how perfectly this is stopping. It's stopping right at that line. The same line that was used February 22nd, March 5th, March 15th, March 20th. You know, that same line is an important line. So we are either above and we stay above, or below and we stay below. When there's a cross with a good stochastic, we can consider that a buy. So the buy is not yet there for Nasdaq. Let's take a look at Apple. So good day for Apple, 2.48%. We still have the earnings call coming soon. We see that we have a gap up. So there's a lot of excitement, but we cannot really conclude that we can buy the stock, because this could be reversing like crazy because of the earnings. We don't know what they are going to be. So this is why I am advising waiting for a break at 180.24 in order to get in. Amazon, we've got the stochastic over 60, and tomorrow is going to be the earnings. Let's wait for that. AMD, no stochastic, earnings coming tomorrow, so let's wait for that. We need a break of 162.57. We are very close. We are very close. ARM, no stochastic, earnings coming next week, I think. Google, we had a nice earnings last Thursday, so we had a big gap up, and now we are cooling down a little bit. It's really possible that we cool down to 161.74. You know, instead of buying high like this, you can wait and hope that it comes down to 164. And if it stabilizes right here and then starts to go back up, and then you can get in and it will be at a decent price. Microsoft going sideways, Meta doing nothing. NVIDIA, you know, we had the break of downward resistance. Our horizontal resistance was at 836. We have stochastic over 60. This one is a buy, and it could swing up to 973. Palantir, this one is into a congestion zone. We need to break 23.28 and also wait for that earnings call. SMCI stochastic is close to being above 60. We have some resistance right here at 900. You know, we stopped exactly there today. You know, I cannot make this up. And earnings are tomorrow, so we are going to see what happens. SoFi doing nothing. True Social, we have stochastic over 60, but we are still under our big congestion zone, you know, below 50 AD. I would not buy at our EV stocks. So BYD doing nicely, 1.36%. Earnings, let's look at the earnings. So we have a positive surprise of 13%. That's pretty big. In terms of earnings, in terms of revenue, we have a 5% negative surprise. But if we are remaining below 28.16, I would not believe this move up. Lucid doing nothing and Bio doing nothing. NEO, after the break at 435 with a good stochastic, this was a buy, and this is continuing. We are up 2.45%. Novonic, this is just going sideways. Xpeng, Xpeng, we have stochastic over 60, a good stochastic at 88, but we could get stuck under 822, so I would wait for 822, a break of 822. Bitcoin is having a hard time, but as I mentioned in my Tesla Weekly Live for my members, you can become a member. I was mentioning that we were overbought in Bitcoin. We have been overbought a lot. This is really nice when you're already in, because it goes up like crazy. But then as it stops being overbought, we have a little bit of a cooling down before we have another move. So we are in this period right now. We are outside of the overbought zone for now, but it's still maintaining itself quite well. So we are lucky because it could be dropping like crazy. So far, it's holding very well. I would sell temporarily if we go below 64.53. But it's possible that we remain above this while the overbought is getting cooler and cooler, waiting for that next move. XRP just holding above 49 cents. Silver, we are losing stochastic. So this is a little bit of a concern. If we remain above 1792, that would be great. But we tend to see that, we are making higher lows. So hopefully we are going to start moving higher. Silver going sideways, losing stochastic. So we should start being wary a little bit. If we break 905, then we should get out of that. So a great day for Tesla. This was a nice move. So let's now see what is going to happen with this downward resistance. This is the name of the game right now. What is going to happen with that downward resistance? Are we going to break it or are we going to cave below it? And nobody knows the answer, but we are going to be here every single day making a video looking at it. We cannot predict the future, but we can believe in the continuation of patterns. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing. If you like what I do, you can become a YouTube member. Click on my TradingView affiliate link. I'm going to wish you a great evening. We are going to talk tomorrow, and I'm going to tell you à la prochaine.